All right. It's Friday.
It's been a while.
It's been 3 weeks
Mm.
since we were last here. Um, we missed 2, so we've been a bit busy, bouncing around. Hope you guys are doing well. Um,
We've been a bit busy, but I have to be honest. I've been in the very liminal space of Scorpio, which today we finally got. Um, we finally moved the last of the luminaries moved out of there. Mercury, which was retrograde in Scorpio, has now finally today moved into Sagittarius. So that sort of depth um, has lifted because Sagittarius is way more sort of out rather than in.
mm,
Of course, we've got a whole lot of other things going on at the moment. That doesn't mean that necessarily lets us off the hook in terms of the deeper stuff, but certainly the Scorpio element is a little lighter at the moment. So.
hmm, hmm. Well, that's good to hear. Well, it's been an interesting few weeks. I guess everybody's going through their own uh, experience of this life. Um, we had a couple of interesting things happen. I wanted to show a video of this copper, this statue that I came across, which I thought was amazing. And you may have already seen it. If you'll bear with me, I'll just go and have a quick looky at my YouTube and go and pull that up. Um, uh, how do I?
Go there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, so bear with me a second, guys. I just need to. I seldom, I seldom use my own. I seldom go on the laptop.
You want me to go to your channel?
Yeah.
I think if you go back there
Uh,
and it says your channel.
okay.
Well, you don't do it on this either. I think it's different on a phone.
Uh,
And then if you go to what are you wanting to find, just go into videos or shorts.
this one. I wonder if I didn't put it on. Maybe I didn't put it on here. There's this one with this dude, Kiyosama. Bit of Alex Michael music to get it started.
An illusion so large it will escape their perception, and those who will see it will be thought of insane. We'll create separate fronts, they won't
He's
see
waiting for
our
this policeman to
connection.
come in. He
We'll
wanted
show
to
no
thank him personally.
liaison, that's how we'll behave. One drop at a time, never bringing suspicion.
You can't
Prevent
see that.
them from seeing the changes occur. Secretly silent.
Oh, guess who's here? Keir Starmer. Steer Karma.
Give it context. We were at
Why is he here?
Norwich
It's the UK Prime Minister in the back door here.
the traffic.
Norwich.
So we knew that there was someone in our way, and we didn't obviously know who. And then he hopped out of the car, so Dave took a video.
Yeah.
It turns out he was in Norwich, supposedly sort of doing something around public transport and the investment in public transport, which is probably why he was catching a train. Even though his vehicles would have had to driven back to London, he was probably
Going
doing
on a train
PR.
for a photo shoot. Yeah.
Mm.
That was kind of. But
It
no.
was a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, what I wanted to show you was this video of these statues in this garden where they were made partly of copper. And I said to the lady, people are using copper for growing stuff and to increase their yield. And she said, but copper is poisonous. I said, well, we drink out of it, don't we? We, oh yeah, we do, I suppose, she says. And but she takes me over to the statue, which has been dripping copper onto the marble below. And where it's dripped the copper onto the marble below, none of the algae has been able to grow in. It's perfectly clean, which was such a great kind of evidence of how how we've seen how copper can, if you use copper tools in the soil, you won't need to use slug repellent because putting that extra copper in the soil makes the soil repellent to the slugs, or the soil doesn't need what the slugs are bringing. Something about that, and makes me think about how many of the conditions that people suffer with are some kind of moldy, fungusy bacteria thing. They give it all sorts of fancy names in the medical fraternity, but they're really often just like a growth, and that growth needs suppressing. Of course, some of these things thrive in a state where there's trauma, physical or emotional, both.
I mean, there's another school of thought that these parasites or funguses or even
Fungi.
mold are they are actually trying to help by going and living off anything that's inorganic or is not meant to be there. So it's actually trying to help. Obviously, if the terrain doesn't change, then that just gets bigger and bigger and greater and greater. So that's a school of thought, right? So that actually these parasites aren't necessarily bad, but when they're in overgrowth, then they can tip your body the wrong way, whether it be alkaline or you can talk about them in so many different ways, because you can talk about frequency or darkness or terrain.
Yeah. So that was that. I'm waiting to see if anyone comes into the chat, because normally people are got a few things to say, and there's Nathan.
So maybe we're talking to ourselves.
Yeah, maybe we're talking to ourselves.
It's been a crazy few weeks, right?
Well, and of course we haven't been on.
No, but it has been. I don't know. People can say, obviously everybody's experience is different, and it's I know now more and more that the month of October/November is that sort of descent after that, and so for some people, I mean, it particularly affects me because of my 12th house placement, but we also had a lot of energy there, and we are in a particularly potent time. That's overall, but in particular at the moment.
Nathan's been really unwell. 7th day. 7 days, like in bed.
Well, something wants to detox, right? So, the best thing you can do is just support.
Maybe something
really.
is detoxing. Maybe I know you've been doing some more deep spiritual kind of practices and yogi type stuff. So maybe you're shifting a little.
They say after something shifts, sometimes the body follows. The sort of body does. But our body wants to help us all the time. So whatever it's doing, it just needs obviously time and of course, we spoke about this other day, how life has become a rush. Like we've got to get somewhere. I mean, I know if you're obviously got a job to do and family to support, and whatever, that's an added pressure. But
he says exactly the same symptoms as 5 years ago. We were also 2019 flu babies. Although 5 years ago, that would make it 2020. You had it in 2020.
I'd be really interested to know what Squirrel's chart is like, because it might actually be just really on point in terms of what needs to happen right now. And the energy is super potent at the moment. Yesterday we had Neptune go direct, and that energy feels big, and it's at 29 degrees. Spoke about 29 degrees the other day, and so we've got like a completion degree, but in a completion archetype of Pisces.
Right.
So I'd be interested, which is the healer, and it's wanting to dissolve what's not of our true nature. So, I suspect there's some of that going on for you.
Hi, Nora. What symptoms? Squirrel Sniper. Richie 007 also came down with at the same time. Maybe you guys have been watching the same content.
I really do think, I think even the COVID stuff, they knew that we were energetically going through a shift. And, if we're going to be receiving more light, or more rich ether, then it makes sense to me that that's going to want to push what's, not in alignment up and out, which is what I think our body's trying to do all the time, is bring everything back into. Sometimes it's too much of a job and the body gets overwhelmed, but I would suspect that's probably what's going on, rather than there's anything necessarily going around, although our body is having to process so much, really.
We were in Norfolk, Nora. Bumped into Slime Minister. Queer Starmer, they call him, apparently. I don't know why. Some say he likes boys, but I've got no idea about that. We'd spent the night at Simon. You'll have met Simon when you came to Norfolk in 2024. Was it 2024 we did that? 2023. I'm hoping Jason is going to pull something out the bag for 2026. It's been a while since we toured like that. Well, it's nice to be talking about all these health conditions. 2 days after my post about elderberry juice. Fever, shakes and cold. Tears, yeah. I'll show you. I didn't show the beginning very well because I hadn't flipped properly. Like this.
It's not a conspiratorial.
No, there's nothing conspiratorial there at all.
An illusion so large it will escape their perception, and those who will see it will be thought of insane. We'll create separate fronts, they won't see our connection. We'll show no liaison, that's how we'll behave. One drop at a time.
I thought he was coming to say hello to me,
Suspicion.
to be honest. So let's give
Prevent
that a
them from
thumbs up.
seeing the changes occur.
Yeah.
Secretly silent.
Whoops, I'm
Oh,
unthumbed
guess who's
for that.
here?
Anyway, that was that, Nora. Much more interesting that we discovered how copper is so amazing at breaking down toxins. Yeah, prevention is better than cure. Well, he seems to be on day 7 of clearing. Maybe you recognize, yeah. You know what? I actually, in like the afterthought, like, why didn't I, like, because I was in the car at that point, and of course, you don't necessarily want to draw attention to you and the family and everything. So, but and Heinz thought was like, if I'd been able to shout, yeah, the Earth is flat. Did you know the Earth is flat? Have they told you the Earth is flat? Something like that. Just to get his face and that question. it would be like YouTube gold for the Flat Earth Society. Um, but anyway, I mean, we've been traveling a bit, and we're hoping to settle down for Christmas for a few weeks. Yeah, we're having settled down for Christmas in a few weeks, and then pick things up again in the new year.
Well, certainly for the winter solstice, right? For the shortest day and shortest night, and then sun disappearing for a while and then returning.
Yeah, we're having some good conversations with Simon. Actually, he's also very knowledgeable because he's come from a church Bible preacher father background, and so he had all of the teachings from young, and now he is recognizing anew the connection to the story of Jesus and the story of us, and putting us, you, at the center of the story.
Where's the Christ within rather than without?
Yeah. And then Nathan, not this Nathan, the other Nathan, Festivus, he was sending me his thoughts last week on how, the sun may well be unique to each observer. Sun, moon, stars, unique to each observer, depending on where they happen to stand at that moment in time. And which I have said for quite a long time, but he seems to have come to a similar conclusion on his own research, which is good. That's my thought on that. And if that's true, though, then you truly are the center of the universe. You truly are the center of the universe. Your universe.
If that's true, then your astrology is really important.
Absolutely, it's your musical wheel. It's absolutely your musical wheel, and if you know how to read the music, you can play in tune to the orchestra. And we really think more so. I mean, we've said it before, and you guys probably think it yourself. But really, we cannot be the center of the universe and in a state of disturbance, for that universe not to be emanating disturbance in and out. We have to be we have to be coming into harmony within.
But I think another thing that Simon was talking a little bit about, is the God is all, and we want so desperately for there to be a perpetrator, and for someone to pay, and being able to sort of come to some peace. And I've said before, love doesn't mean love is truthful, love is boundaries, love is fierce, but it's also forgiving and compassionate. And can we come to a place of love and peace and forgiveness? Otherwise, we're still in the prison, whether you're on the side of um, the angry or the resistance, or the side of the compliant, obedient one. And I think it's a tough one, because we all want someone to pay, but I don't know that that's the point of this journey. And again, this is not about me saying we all just need to roll over and let everybody do what if you feel like you need a boundary, but sometimes that boundary is more about your own experience than it is about getting the person on the outside to stop doing what they're doing because they won't necessarily. So it's such a tricky thing because we really have to be with our own sense of resentment and rage and all the rest, and see that we are creating our own reality.
Yeah, we are creating, but obviously with influence from history.
Yes, but you have to be. When you go through the healing, and this is something that Simon, for instance, and Nathan will know this too because he obviously has looked at it too. But when you look at the Course in Miracles, we're talking about the journey of you come here pure and then move into the ego state, and then the journey is to come out of that. And when that becomes possible, then you become the observer rather than the participant, or you identify as that, and you return to love. And so, it is almost a necessary experience. And so then, there is that sense of detachment to the experience. I mean, it's both. You're both experiencing it and you're observing it, and you do that from a place of flow, where it doesn't mean if you are detached that you therefore bypass and don't feel things. You absolutely do. That's part of the experience too. Most of the time, we don't evolve and alchemize when we're just coasting or going over or under. Or when we're walking through it, that we can't hear. We're walking through it. Sorry, I've also got a bit of a croaky throat, so not in any way. Just no, I'm not. Don't feel ill in any way, but that's probably why it sounds a little softer. A little out of practice, aren't we?
Yeah. No. Well, and your mic was all the way down there, so that might help. Is that better? I came across a quote. Can't tell you who the quote was originally credited to, but it goes something like, "He who controls the past, the history, controls the present. He who controls the present controls the future." And so really the control of the history, the past, is essentially determining the future. So when you think about that from your own life story, the controlling, overriding narrative is essentially going to determine the future, which is probably why they say the apple doesn't fall from the tree, because what the father gives the son, right? And so it actually, so if you have the power to control your sense of the history, because things may have happened, and it's and the rewriting of that history creates this guy as the bad guy instead of the good guy, blah blah blah. But if it's your own life story, then you can determine whether or not the history is going to how the past is shaping the present. And these, it seems, all of the interference that's happening by design or by accident by our families, etc., are going to be, these are things that are going to have pulled you out of your true, or maybe shaping your sense of your true self, or how you are now, who you are now, how you identify with yourself now.
But you can't just, from my experience, and I'm not the only one who talks from this place, that you can't just go, well, that's in the past. You actually have to go and alchemize it. You have to go back, and because there's so much stuff that's in our unconscious. They say you build your identity around your pain. And I know now that we carry a birth story that lives in our nervous system. Every experience we have from 0 to 7 that you can't necessarily remember is in our nervous system, and that's really our fundamental foundation of who we think we are. Our money story is back to that 0 to 7. And, we know that when a child is 0 to 7, they're just like sponges. They're not formulating it. They're just taking in the experience and then, and making meaning of everything. And of course, so much of the emotion that we experience then is sitting in that nervous system as well. We've been talking a little bit about fascia recently. We've spoken about it a lot, but, I've come across, and if anybody else has come across a movement called the Human Garage, which they go around healing trauma through fascia release. And
fascinating work.
And how that's the nervous system, that the trauma, whether it be a scar or, I'll tell you a little story about a lady that I've been following for a very long time, and she's starting to lose her hearing, and she had a fascia release by someone who is trained in the Human Garage method, and they did a release in her jaw right by the ear that she's got the most hearing loss. And when they did the release afterwards, which is very common, there was so much grief that was processed, the depth of grief that was being held in, inside the fascia right by her ear. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that changes the hearing loss, but it does allow the energy that's stuck there to be released, and therefore, someone to feel less stuck or less burdened or more in flow or more connected. And that's just one way that we can see how it's stuck in our nervous system. Every client that I've worked for, including my own life, and there are belief systems and stories and emotion and trauma sitting in our body mind that we don't even know is operating. So for me, the way you are able to free yourself and be in the present is by alchemizing, by completing, by releasing, reclaiming, remembering, whatever it is, that past experience.
Yeah. And I, funnily enough, I feel at the moment called to stillness more than noise. Quiet and, contemplation, maybe some breathing. I got the opportunity to do a bit of work recently, which was nice for moving the physical body and being outside in the air. All right, Albert Billy, good to see you, mate. Yeah, put your ears on. My tinnitus is pretty strong. It's one of those things that you just kind of the background thing that you live with, right? Anyway, you talked about delirium, like delirious. So you've only had or known it twice now. Yeah, we were super sick like that in South Africa in 2021, where I was lying on the floor thinking, okay, if my time's up, then I'm ready to go. Both ends were just evacuating. Insane. That only lasted like 24 36 hours for me, and about 4 days or 5 days for you. Even Zizi came down for a day or two at a time.
But I really do think that your body is ready to clear something. Often the people will talk about, you going through some sort of shift, and of course the Scorpio stuff and stuff we're going through at the moment, it's huge. And in fact, astrologers are saying, we're in this potent energy where the opportunity to dissolve, release that which is not aligned is so potent in the moment. And it's like this window of time that, if you can, don't miss out on it. And of course, what we tend to do is we tend to try and bypass it or distract ourselves from it, because it feels so uncomfortable. or we don't want to see all the ways that we are out of alignment because they're so familiar and they're almost like a security blanket. It's so uncomfortable. But the more you're willing to lean in and be with, the more it's going to let you be. And next year's a big year, so the more you've been willing to allow some of this to move or shift or dissolve or be healed or whatever, however you feel comfortable talking about it. I think it will help you be more in your power, more in your strength, more in that sort of like that strong spine when the storm comes. Because for sure next year I think it's going to be a bit stormy.
You think so?
Yeah. Astrologers say 2026 is going to make 2020 look
There you go. You see,
light.
because I am wondering, Nathan, whether your thoughts aren't like coming down with something. It's a cyclical thing, and it's a prequel to what's coming. Like in the big game.
I also think that we are, like I said, we're in such a rush, and I understand that we've got like daily pressures, and so I get it. But sometimes we're trying to get somewhere quicker, and I think that's what medicine has kind of tricked us into. And that's why we take the paracetamols to get the pain to go away, or like in childbirth, and hey, do you? But us women are, we don't allow ourselves to go through that pain portal. We know it's easy when he's ill, that actually every time the immune system has an opportunity to be tested, he grows. And, and as long as we're supporting our bodies with rest and fluids, and it kind of knows what to do. And sometimes it just requires patience. And, maybe that's part of our lesson, is to just slow down and surrender and trust that it's going to be okay. But when it's uncomfortable and it lingers longer, then we're in a rush and it shouldn't be this way and it needs to be different. And maybe it doesn't. Don't get me wrong, it sucks to be sick, but it's that expansion contraction, and clearly you're going through a contraction at the moment.
I feel differently. I can't put it into words.
You said that squirrel. For sure.
It's probably because I'm still coming out. Oh, probably because I'm still coming out of it. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, and I would say that we're all going through shifts that, I think if we really were honest, we all feel a bit different. If you had to think about how you felt maybe 4 years ago, and actually the Neptune 29 degrees, it's been, Neptune's been in Pisces since 2011, 12, and been a massive experience. If you think about your own life since 2011, 2012, that the things that have gone on, the shifts that have gone on, Neptune's action is huge. And we're now at that sort of end completion. So you are different.
Yeah, I also have been feeling, I don't want to make too much of it, Squirrel, but I have been feeling a little bit kind of different in the last few months. Weeks maybe, but I don't know, because maybe it's because there's this calm before the storm type thing. Not that I wish for the storm, but if it's to come, it's to come, right? I can't.
No, I think we're in a everything's got to die, and that's why you see what you're seeing in the world is everything is shifting and changing, and when that happens, it's like the chaos and that's outside and inside. In fact, it's inside and outside. And I think we are shifting and changing. That's the point. The evolution.
And that's okay.
Totally. Although the mind doesn't like it because it wants the familiar, which is why most people will stay in the unfamiliar hell. I mean, the familiar hell, because, it's what you know, it's certainty, comfortable. I'm not saying that about anybody specifically. It's just, even myself, it's like there are things that, my ego wants to hang on to because the letting go might make that mean so much.
Yeah. No, I didn't get the convid, mate. I mean, obviously, convid is a con. No, I haven't even got flu, but Nathan has come down with something pretty staunch over the last week. Right. So it was you were also 10 days in December 2019. See, when I got the flu in 2019, December, it was after the Globe Light tour. We all got it, Andrea, Zizi, and I. And of course, we'd been around Milan in November, and we'd had a few people quite sick on the tour bus. But we were floored by a flu in December 2019, before Christmas. That was how, and I'm not a guy that gets flu really. I'm not a flu kind of guy. I mean, obviously I get it occasionally, but this time it was like 5 days, not wanting to get out of bed.
And a rather horrid one.
And a few weeks of like total sort of feeling starting to get, normally. And so.
But again, we were in potent energy that was, that there was so much shifting and changing going on. And that's my theory, is that energetically things are shifting. And when those shifts happen, they happen within us too. And then, the toxic, whether it be toxic thoughts or emotions or trauma or, anything that is not of the right frequency, it gets pushed out.
Sorry, Karen.
No.
No, these guys are talking about making pizza. It's like we should start a bloody cookery show here. They're talking about don't put pineapple on pizza. Sprinkle a bit of curry powder and half an OXO cube. Amazing.
Really?
And Squirrel says, dip your crust in Bovril. That's when I got sick too. When you dipped your crust in Bovril. Shorty, no, I assume you're talking about December 2019. I had a bad flu in 1981.
Awesome.
I haven't had a sniffle since. Nice one, Tony. Well, that's pretty amazing. I mean, some people never ever get flu. Hey, like it's not a thing ever. I mean, I think that some, my lifestyle choices have not always led to being like the most, flu resistant. So, I've had a few in my lifetime.
I just think we go through cycles. I think every 7 years, some sort of something needs to be cleared out. But everybody's walking their own path, right? And got their own journey, so it's different for everyone. But that's been our experience.
And we were saying earlier on, we all have our own astrology clock. And so because the main clock is in this position doesn't mean that it means the same thing for you as it does for me.
Totally.
Because our placements are all
like the current Scorpio, and it's in my 12th house. And when you've got something moving through a 12th house, it does mean, that you're supposed to like go recluse and rest, and it's an ending house. And whereas Scorpio might be, in your house of, fun and pleasure and whatever, and or esoteric, and so you're researching some shadowy stuff. So it is completely individual. That's the beautiful thing about astrology.
Yeah, and of course, as we were saying, the control of the history, past, can control the present. So you can. I think we should be shaping a lot of our present, which means we're determining our future. In certain ways, obviously, there are some things.
But
that
we've
are
also spoken a little bit about the coming to a place of trusting life and its unfolding and the mystery of that. There's an element of that that we can't control the future necessarily. I mean, that's a tricky one. I think we can and we can't, but just being okay with the not knowing, I think, is again, it's very difficult for the mind, which is why we all seeking, searching, trying to figure it out, because that's what the mind likes to do. Just having that experience of trusting God and that there is a bigger plan here, and
and also being, in a way, preparing yourself for, what you do today will lay down something for tomorrow. I was thinking about a guy who maybe drives his car too fast today. Tomorrow he may have some kind of incident associated with that, which changes or has an effect on what tomorrow brings. And the reason he's driving fast today and in a crazy thing is because of something that happened yesterday or in his history.
Well, that makes me think of today. I did a 2-hour parasympathetic visioning session for 2 hours, and it was a first half was a sort of a release or a completing, and the second half was a visioning, and it did feel very much like I was doing it for my future self. That was part of the visioning, was calling in those things that feel like possibility. So that was definitely today, therefore felt like it was something that was going to happen. And of course, I don't know how that unfolds, which is where the mystery and the trust and the being in flow of, how it unfolds.
Yeah, well, you were going to say something.
No, just it was a reconnection to some Kundalini mantras and practices, and I just wanted to honor and respect those that are daily practitioners or are
something in that, man.
Are committed to it, because wow, it was not only powerful, but it is it takes stamina. I did an hour, and people are doing a lot more. But it was a beautiful experience.
An hour? I thought it was 2 hours.
No, the hour, the first half. The first half, the second half was the vision meditation. So the first hour was the breath practices and the mantras. And
I got on with the first hour.
Yeah, Dave did the replay afterwards.
I did it later today.
But it's it's incredible, but it just I haven't done a lot of it recently, and it does take some stamina. Sure.
Yeah. Hi, voy. I assume that's Voynich. Immune system. Joe is laid out. Gosh. Yeah. So other than talking about pizza dough, we have obviously been. You may know a little bit about this squirrel, but I was able to get some venison recently. Something called muntjac, haunches. Only the haunches. I haven't really come across this before. So we're going to give that a little try, because obviously the cleaner the meat, the happier the feet. Andrea to me is the female version of Eric Dubay.
Right. Well, I don't know whether I should take that as
As
a
a
compliment
compliment
or
or
an insult.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I'm just me. And I think the feminine is supposed to be doing more of the feeling, intuitive stuff, and the masculine more the logical or
Good
the
meat. Yeah.
protector or the provider. But uh,
Oh well, yeah. I think something that Andrea has had feedback from friends who watch, um, who listen in to We Gather, and what has been noted is that this conversation, the sort of deeper, the inner work stuff and connecting it to the astrology.
or the more, or also the spiritual stuff. The stuff that's not the logical stuff.
Yeah, there's not a lot of content creators in our field or in our area
In our community.
that are talking much on these sorts of things. So it's got some value.
Yeah, I think you can go and find, we're certainly within the flat Earth hashtag, you can find plenty of stuff on, the more logical stuff, or trying to figure it out, or debates or conversations around the material side of things. But the energetic side, I'm not saying there aren't people talking about it, because there are people talking about astrology and other things in that area, but I don't think there's a lot of people, not from my experience, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that are willing to have the conversations about the feeling stuff, or the astrology stuff, or what's going on energetically, or and for me, you can't have one without the other. Maybe that's what Dave and I bring, is the feeling and the logic, and it's just you can't only have the feeling, and you can't only have the logic. There's the union of both, both within and without. And I know I'm willing to have the conversation. I know not everybody wants to hear it, and that's absolutely fine. But I do think it's such an important part of what we are moving through at the moment.
Flat Earthers know something, but it's not a high level card in the Illuminati card game. So we have to use Flat Earth as a gateway to something more. And Tony says it's a compliment. Therefore, another level. I might add.
I wondered whether it was an insult, because he, for a lot of people, he doesn't. I don't hear a lot of people talk about him in a. And hey, we vibe with some people and we don't vibe with others, and that's absolutely okay. It's impossible to feel aligned to everyone. But certainly of late, I don't hear a lot of people talking about Eric Dubay in the nicest way. I don't. I've only listened to a very little bit of him, and some of it sounds, that he's saying stuff and having conversations with people that sound legit and interesting, and I may not necessarily agree with all of it. I honestly don't spend a lot of time listening to him in particular. But yeah, I haven't heard a lot of nice things said about him by many.
But he does do the sort of yoga type thing. I remember when I first saw Dubé, like in the early days, and he was doing some yoga pose, and he looked like he'd just begun. But he's been doing it for some years now. So I think there is a need to center oneself outside of the noise, or insulated in a way from the noise of the world.
I also think we carry so much programming or trauma, if you want to call it trauma, or belief systems around the conversations around talking about feelings or the emotional stuff. Most of us grew up with some sort of message about what it meant. The girls maybe, or the females maybe, that their emotions were too much, and the boys maybe that they, that they weren't, it was bad or wrong to have feelings. So as a consequence, we don't have healthy relationships with that side of our lives, and it's different for the masculine and the feminine. But so I do think it's an important part of us alchemizing. And again, it's not about only the one or the other. And again, when people lives of, everybody's on their own different path and journey and stages in their life. And just from my experience, I'm seeing more and more that people are, this is going to be maybe controversial, sort of in the truth community can often be bypassing through staying in the figuring out rather than, also doing that part.
Yeah, that's important to reinforce that. I was having a conversation with Simon when we were walking his dog in a dark field. And talking about how, at the end of the day, when we leave this mortal experience, what difference will it have made whether we exhausted ourselves learning all the possible truths that were there to learn, or we raised our vibration to such a point that we were in some kind of blissful state. And I don't know obviously what happens exactly after the final breath, but I can say for sure that we can be in a more blissful state in this existence, and the heaven hell
the very thing that we say that the system is doing to us is creating separation, but that separation already happens within, where we've separated our minds from our bodies, or ourselves from our truth, or there's so much disassociation within the body mind. So it's already going on here, and then they're just playing on that separation.
Yeah.
So for me, the very thing that we say we want to change on the outside, if we're not willing to do it ourselves, then we're kind of missing the point. And so I think that's the important part, is like coming back into connection with yourself, with God, and with other. And, that's for me the point. And at this time, we're all seeing how much separation that is, even within those people who claim to have found the truth. There's still that sort of, whether it be vax, anti-vax, or flat earth globe, or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, masculine, feminine. I'm working through my own healing around my belief system that's so deep around how I view the masculine, and that's the masculine without and the masculine within, because I have my own masculine, and that's deep and layered. And I can blame the outside, but I know that it's, I have a responsibility too when it comes to that. So
Jolly Man gave me some information I haven't heard before. I've never played the Illuminati card game, But the Flat Earth card gives you 33 free moves in either direction. Winning card always if you play the game. I didn't know that. I thought it was like, it said 3 points or 2 points on it.
For sure, it's it is like is one of those sort of ultimate. If you've come to Flat Earth, then all the other stuff is not hard to kind of sit with. But I do think I think that it can equally be, I say this to Dave all the time, that it can equally be a rabbit hole or a psyop. Not that the information isn't true, but often people get stuck there, needing to prove it. And for me, it's an important truth. It's an important information to shift your whole perspective. But it should lead you back to yourself.
Really, that's the bottom line, right? I'm thinking about that sportswear boss. You guys must have seen the meme going around. He's offered his $3 billion fortune to someone who could show us the edge of the earth. Of course, obviously, that's missing the point about water not curving around a ball. But anyway, and it's easy to get like lost in these final experiments. But actually, you are the final experiment. It is you that is the center. And each of us is to, I think, come into some, because we are not going to change. We ran into that prime minister yesterday, didn't we? And, these characters are just going to be replaced. He could have fallen in front of the train and he'd be replaced in 24 hours.
What it highlighted to me is just business is normal, right? And, I'm fully aware that we're in a time of biopurification, but I do know next year that they even talk about it becoming I don't know how they say it, but they won't just be one split; it'll be multiple splits,
right?
And that there are those that will continue on the train, and it's being at peace with that.
Yeah. So C Lightning says in February 2015, while looking for moon landing hoax Eric debate, 200 proofs came up. It was very easy to get that kind of content then, right? After 10 minutes, realized the Earth is flat. Fell asleep at 120 proofs during the night. Watched the rest in the morning, and it was over. The globe was dead. And it's interesting why it's so. I guess if you were already looking to, reinforce the idea that the moon landing never happened, then you're already out there. However, there's plenty of people that are out there with moon landing, like Bart Sabrell and so on, who cannot, unable to let go of something in the program, because really it is just, there is just an authority that's standing over you saying that there's a ship going over the curve, even though your friends are saying, but hold on, we can zoom in on that ship, perspective, angle of resolution. There are all these kind of explanations and evidences that you can test to explain why we've been told to think that that's going over the curve. And yet, there's something that holds people back. And if you're not one of those people, then I think that the great trap then is to just keep you in the squabble with what will be a Dawn of the Dead kind of sequel that will last 1 million years, or 1,000 years, or 100 years, or 10, more than 10. I was, trying to give people information on Facebook and so on in 2015, 16. And today, you know, there are still people doing exactly the same thing, and those numbers might have grown.
I do think 2026 is going to bring some new opportunities.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we should be making any conclusions at this time. I think the first significant one that I can see is, I think it's the 4th of February, but I stand corrected, where Neptune and Saturn will be meeting at 0 degrees. So it's in Aries. So it's a 0 degree. It's Aries is the beginning. Anyway, it's the initiator, and so that first alignment is quite big. What that means on the world stage, I don't know, but it's 0 is a reset. It's a rebirth. It's a new beginning. So yeah, I think that next year, and then there's a whole lot of other, Uranus going back into Gemini, so will also be at the early degrees, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be a really interesting year, and I think that's why we need to be doing the work, mind, body, soul.
Mind, body, soul, the Trinity. Mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan's getting a chance to do a detox and get the body strong, and that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah. How you doing, Singe, man? Nice to see you, man. Well, look, we didn't want to go on too long tonight because this was just like a warm up to get us back in the saddle. Next week we've been in 5 different beds in 6 nights.
Yeah, we're in a
tomorrow night will be the 5th bed in 6 nights.
Yeah, we're going through a little window of transition, and
so we bounced around a bit.
Yeah, but I have personally felt very inward and not necessarily wanting to share a lot, and just respecting and honoring my own feelings on that. So, this was just we need to show up and
say hi to you guys.
And just check in with everyone and see how you're doing. I know from my experience anyway, it's the energy has been quite tricky, and things could possibly be coming up. A lot of the time we blame the outside for the thing that's coming up, but it's probably trying to show you something. Well, no, in our case, yes, I could quite easily blame it, the relationship or something else.
Well, it's normally my fault. Yeah, but we've got what's the date today?
It's the 12th.
So that'll be the 19th.
It will be the 19th, yes.
And
no, 19.
Yeah, and then we've got, I guess, it would be like Boxing Day, 26th. Would be the next Friday.
Yes.
So we'll see about that one, but we would like to see you next week if you're free.
Yes, it'll be 2 days before the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, anyway.
Wow.
And that's kind of what we feel about that time of the year. Although we do now enjoy certain traditions, that are aligned with Christmas, and most especially spending time with our family and eating some good food.
Yeah. Good food. Well, I hope you guys are all going to be doing that. Taking care of yourself. Not overeating. Hey, we do think that it's not necessarily to gorge at this time of year.
No, but it's also nice to have something
tasty,
special and tasty,
and high fat.
Enjoy your time with your family and celebrate whatever feels right for you.
Yeah. So I guess we could finish up by playing out our favorite local prime minister.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
An illusion so large it will escape their perception, and those who will see it will be thought of insane. We'll create separate fronts, they won't see our
Some of these guys
connection.
probably don't like
We'll
to be
show
on
no
camera normally.
liaison, that's how we'll behave. One drop at a time, never bringing suspicion. Prevent them from seeing the changes occur. Secretly silent.
Oh, guess who's here? Keir Starmer.
Steer calm.
Steer calmer. Why is he here? It's the UK Prime Minister at the back door here in Norwich.